Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I'm your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today we are assembling more alts. So we have Ulric, Volkov, the alt guild steward, an alt Showgirl, Miss Feasance, which is an alt Seamus, an alt Draugr, the Eggapult and one egg, which is an alt Pigapult, and the Headless Horseman, which is an alt Pale Rider. So we'll go ahead and do them in that order. First up is Ulric. We will grab the body I2, I'm guessing. And then we'll go ahead and add the leg that we don't have, which is I7. We'll go along there. And then we will attach the left side of his coat and either the back of his coat or the right side of his coat, and then the other one of those, his head, his right hand, and then figure out his watch chain last. So right now I'm guessing our order is going to be I2, I7, I3, I1, I4, I5, I6, and I8. Okay, we got I2. I7 is going to attach right here, and obviously to the underside of his coat, looking very much like a leg should go. Our connection point is right here, and obviously the top. Okay. Goes on pretty well. Unsure about this seam, but I'm sure once we put the rest of the coat on, it'll probably fix itself. I might have just nudged it out of place accidentally. Yeah, that's better. Okay, let's go ahead and try putting on his coat now. I'm gonna make an attempt to do the left side first, which again is I3. That is going to pretty much cover his entire left side, I think. Okay, pretty good seam on the leg there. You want to make sure that it is nice and flush, putting pressure right there on the coat. I was making sure it's close to the leg and the rest of the body piece, but I think we can now start working on the rest of the coat. Let's put I1 right back here. Okay, this is our view from the front. Obviously not a whole lot to show on the back, just the seam looking nice and tight, and down here looking good as well. So I think we can go ahead and get started on the last piece of the coat, I4, which is more or less just going to be his sleeve. Sorry, that's going to go right in here. Alright, fur coat is done. Let's quickly toss I5 in here. So he has a head, and then I6, the right hand. There's the head. It's kind of awkward because it is just sitting on top of a hollow space. But once you get it in there nice and tight, make sure and check all of your seams because parts of the coat might have pushed out of place with the force you're putting on it. Now let's do the right hand. Okay. Hands in, and he is holding a pocket watch, and that is where I8 is going to attach. Now, I know the bent part is going to be tucked into his hand at the top of the pocket watch there, but I'm not entirely sure where the other end is going to attach to. So I'm going to do some experimentation and then get back to you. Alright, I got it attached, and before I glue it into the spot it's going to go, you can see in there there's just this sort of notch that looks slightly out of place, and that's where the other end of the chain is going to go. And there we are. Ulric is done. Let's get him on a base. Alright, Ulric Volkov is done. The hardest part for him was the watch chain, just being very precarious with it, and figuring out the order of the coat, but that's barely a difficulty. I'd say he's fairly simple as far as alts go, but we can move on to the performer. Alt performer is next and should go fairly quick. We'll grab the two halves of the skirt that is not attached to the body, glue them together, and then add them to the body. Then we can do the right hand, the left hand, and the head. Let's grab these two. I think there's instructions. Some of you may have noticed that there was a bit missing. She did not come with hair on her sprue. I'm going to go ahead and contact Weird about that so I can have a complete model, but I don't think that's going to matter too much, and I honestly need to get these done and out the door. So we're just going to assemble the rest of her, and you can use your imagination for her hair. I'm going to make an exception for it since this is an alt. Normally I would just wait until I get the bits in from Weird. So let's continue. Okay, we've got our feet bits. Yeah, whatever. I can't talk, apparently. And then our other piece of the skirt, which is going to just fit in, like, right there. Okay. Looks good as far as the seam goes. So now we can staple the body / the rest of the skirt right along there. Yeah, there we go. This seems alright. Might do a little bit of fiddling with it just to get it to look a little bit more closed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the right arm first, then the left arm. If you're not sure which is which, check your thumbs. And then check the thumbs on the bit, and then stare at your own thumbs. Because this is the right hand. At least it should be. Alright, there's our right arm. Now the left. And there is our left arm. Now here's where I would say you probably should add the hair to the head first before you glue the head on. But I don't got no hair. So we're just going to put her head on and ignore the giant hole. You know, that's not terrible. That's not as good, but you could probably hide that if you're in the simulation, or just go get your bit from Weird. Anyway, wait, hold on. This, she magically got her hair and a layer of primer. And this is definitely just not my mini. Anyways, yeah, that's what she looks like finished. I definitely would reinforce that you put the hair on the head before you put the head on the body, because it looks like the hair does attach to that left arm a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put her on a base, and we're going to pretend we assembled this one. Our alt performer is completed. Again, I'm sorry I had to swap in my one I already owned because of the missing bit for the hair, but I'll be getting that bit fairly quickly, I'm sure. Hardest part for her was the arms have fairly small connection points, and that's really about it. It's quite a simple model, so no complaints. Let's move on. Alright, this Feasance is going to be a little bit more complicated, but we can do it just fine. So, I think we'll actually build up the base last. Let's focus on her body. So we're going to grab the back half and the front half of the majority of her body, put them together, and then we can do the two legs. After that, we will do the back of her head here, the front of her face, the top of her hat, and then the dead bird that is on her hat. After that, we can do her arm, and then we will finish up with the saw and the bow that go on her back, and then we will do the base, put the tombstone on the base, and then plop her and this lovely gentleman here onto that. Alright, that was a lot of words, and sadly we do not have instructions this time around, so I'm going to try my best to give you a good idea of how this all goes together. Alright, so we're going to grab these two pieces and then the two legs. Those are our first four. Our first piece, now let's put her front on. The honkers do be bedonking, as the teenagers probably say. Alright. Might need to squeeze, especially up near the top, to get the seam nice and closed, but it's a good start. Now we can work on her legs, and I realize I never figured out which one was which. 1 second. Okay, our right leg is going to be this one because it has that extra strap with probably some sort of embalming tools tucked in it, whereas the left leg is smooth. So let's add our right leg and our left leg. You know what, actually, I believe we need to put the tombstone in first. I didn't realize it was a critical part of her assembly. Thought she was just sitting on it. But the more important side, back here you can kind of see how it's got a lot of connection to it. So we're going to clip that out. I'm going to just jam it up the skirt, and then we will start putting legs on. And 1 and 2. Make sure the RIP is facing us. But now you can see a lot more obvious connection points for her leg. So now we can finally add the right leg in there. It will take a little bit of pressure to get the pop in there, but it will look really good once you do. So now we can go ahead and add the left leg. Alright, left leg is in. This one went in noticeably easier than the right one. Didn't require too much pressure at all. But also keep in mind the back of her heel is glued to the tombstone right there. Alright, let's work on her head, I think. Next, let's do the back of her hair, then the front of her face, and then plop her hat on top of her head. Those bits being, again, back of the head, then the face, and then our hat. Okay, new phone. Let's see how this works. There's what our head looks like. At least the back of it. Now let's do the face. And should all just be a nice flat top that we can insert our hat. I feel like this can get a little wiggly, and so our definitive way this is going to go in is you see this sort of weird patch on the hat that is going to be facing towards us, more pointed towards the right side, so it is going to effectively go in just like that. Okay, orientation does matter because it's a little hard to see, but there is actually a tooth for a connection point right here for our next bit, which is this, what looks like maybe a bird skeleton, a corpse of a bird. The connection point is not on that side. It is this notch right here. So we're going to basically set it on the hat, kind of like this. Alright, that looks good. View from the back. Alright. Next is going to be the saw bit. It's going to connect back here. It's not going to lie flat against her. It's actually going to be sitting perpendicular to her butt. I don't know why she has that sitting on there, but the bit in question we're talking about is this guy right here. And it'll probably just be easier for me to show you. I did say I was going to do the arm, but that was a day ago, so we'll just do this one first. Okay, that's how it's supposed to look. The hair does get slightly in the way, but it was fairly easy just to get it in there and then press it down with the knife. And it's fine. Obviously, you can change up the order a little bit if you think you'll have trouble with that. Okay, next is going to be our bow, which does have this connection point right there. And that's going to be kind of sitting on this bump that is attached to the saw. Bow is taking up most of her lower back. It's very obvious how it's supposed to sit. You shouldn't have a problem with it. Alright, now we can finally add in her left arm holding the gun, fit right in there. And here is the arm, just mushed it in there with the knife, and it's set up pretty much exactly like how it is on the render. So I think that's probably a pretty solid connection. I don't think you're going to need to fiddle with it too much. Okay, well, we can now finally plop her down on her base, connection points being right here and right here, although I think you can probably glue one or both of the feet onto there as well. We'll see. Alright, here's our base. Tombstone goes here. Body, corpse thing goes here. I think that is a footprint, and that is definitely a connection point for the foot. Alright, took way too much effort to get that in and aligned, and I will fully admit I probably got the order wrong. So, now that we're done with her, I can go over the new order, but let's put her on a base first. Miss Feasance is completed. Yeah, somewhat difficult of a build. A lot of bits, but let me see if I can redo the order of operations here. So you'll take the base, like the basing base, and put the tombstone on it. And then I think you should attach the back of the body to the top of the tombstone. And then attach the legs to the front of the body, the part that's holding onto the head of the corpse. And while everything's fairly soft, then you will attach that piece to the basing part where the corpse is, as well as the body into the back of the body, and the legs should sit into place. And after that, you can build everything, the head, the arm, the hat, all that stuff. But Yeah, really just the basing was the hard part and figuring some things out because of the lack of instructions, but I got it. So let's move on now. The Draugr has noticeably fewer bits. Hooray. Happy for that. Our order of operations, we're going to go ahead and grab the body, do the left leg, the right foot, and then the chest, the arms, and the halberd, and then finally the head. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the front of our torso. Our left leg is going to go right along there. I'm basically going to fill up that entire space on the pelvis. Looks good. Our right leg going to attach right there. There is our right leg. Barely tell there's a seam there, which is good. Now let's add our chest. Okay, for this one you want to make sure that it actually fits in the bottom, and then you want to fold up the top. If you try to push it all in together, it's just not going to fit. That's pretty good. Alright, let's do our arms. Obviously one's going to fit right in here. I mean, the whole bit is both arms and the halberd, so the full arm is going to fit in here, and just the hand will be right there. Alright. Want to get the right shoulder, the left shoulder in first, and then this should be able to slide right onto its correct spot. Seems looking decent. Now let's just add our head. Now it does attach at the neck, but the beard also just glues to the top of the forearm, right there. All right, well that was fairly easy. Let's put him on a base. Our Draugr is done. The hardest part for him was getting the arms aligned correctly, and that's me stretching to find a difficulty. I guess obviously you need to put the arms on before you do the head. I'm not sure you could fit the arms on after the head. That is a magnificent beard. Okay, we're all done. Let's move on to pewter. Eggapult, another metal mini. Lucky me. Should be pretty simple though. Technically 2 models actually. We've got the Eggapult, which is the rabbit and the slingshot, and then a singular Daredeviled egg, which is these 3 bits. So we'll assemble the Eggapult and then the Daredeviled egg after. We've got a base. We'll go ahead and add our 2 arms of the slingshot, which are going to connect into these squares. Then we'll go ahead and add the bunny to this connection point, and this strap should connect to one of these arms. We'll add the arms onto the bunny after that, and then add the other strap. Although, I think we could probably do the strap and the arms in reverse order. It doesn't really matter. And then for the Daredeviled egg, it's egg, leg, leg, put them on a base. So let's start with the base and then these 2 arms. Okay, as far as right and left of the arms, they are curved away from the rabbit because the rabbit is pulling itself along the strap. And these sort of riveted parts would be on the outside of the slingshot. So this would be our right arm of the slingshot, and this would be our left arm of the slingshot. So if we look at our base, right arm goes here, left arm goes here. It looks like those connection points are also different sizes, so they would not fit if you got them mixed up. Okay, I went ahead and changed my mind because it was getting too difficult for me. So we actually started with this strap going, and here there is a sort of a tab on the end of the bit that'll fit into a slot over here. This end, at least mine has this indentation right here that's kind of hard to see. May as well do the arms now too. So we'll go ahead and do the right arm first. That should be this one. Okay, right arm does kind of look like he is resting it on the strap. Okay, now let's do our left arm, the other one. There is the left arm. Okay, we have a finished rabbit. Now we are going to take his nice little foot connection point and jam it on here. And then once we do that, we're going to very quickly put in the arms so we can move everything around to hopefully get him aligned. Okay? Okay, when he is solidly in there, you want to hold it down and then bend him back so that the straps are going ever so slightly upwards. Obviously, what you can do is start dry fitting the arms, making sure that when you do actually glue them, they're fairly close to where the strap is. Like so. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the left arm here. Left one having the studs on the outside. It's going to go right into that square. And then we are going to nudge around either the left arm or the strap or the rabbit until it fits in nice and snugly. Yeah, I'll get back to you. Okay, that is in. I am not going to fiddle with it too much. I don't want it to pop off. So now we have our last arm of the Eggapult, and we can call him done. Let's get started. And there we go. Okay. Could connect better, but I'm not very good at pewter, so I'm going to go ahead and call him done. I'm going to put him on a base, and we can do the bonnet, the Daredeviled eggs next. Okay, here's our Daredeviled egg. And the two bits we have are its feet, and I honestly cannot tell you which side is which. I'm starting to think it doesn't matter, but each of them has these little tiny connection points that go into these holes on the bottom. So let's just do one and the other. Okay, so I ended up putting one of the feet down on flat surface, putting some glue on it, and then putting the egg on it in the most upright position I could possibly make it, and then hit it with some good old fixer. And then did the same for the other leg. They look good. We're just going to put them on a base. And I'm going to lament over the fact that I'm not good at pewter. Alright. The Eggapult is done. I'm not good at pewter. I got it figured out, though. Yeah, really the order matters. Making sure that he is bent into the correct place matters. And the legs on the Daredeviled egg suck, but it's probably just me. Okay, let's move on to anything else, please. Here's our alt pale rider. I thought it was called the Headless Horseman, but it is just a reference to the Headless Horseman. Okay, the instructions are pretty different than the sprue, but that's good because there's fewer bits on the sprue than there are in the instructions. So we'll be good. So we'll grab the two halves of the horse to start off, and we'll do the fourth horse leg, which will go right here. And then we can add both boots and stirrups to his side. You can see a connection point there and a connection point there. And then we can start building the body. I think we can do the cape, cloak, coat, whatever on his back. And then the gun, followed by the collar. I think that's a collar. The bit of fire inside of the collar. Then we can do the hat with the hand and the hat with the flaming head. Obviously, this may change, but that's what I'm thinking we can do. So let's start with the two halves of the horse. Okay, we got the right half of the horse. Let's add the left half on top. Okay, mostly a full body of a horse. Now we can do that front leg there. Oh, horse has four legs. Focus. Next are going to be the boots and stirrups, one right here, and the other one on the other side. It's fairly, with a bit of logic, fairly easy to figure out which side is which. This is going to be the left side, the one we were just seeing, and this will be the right side. The connection point is right here. The connection point is right here, and the feet are facing towards us. So unless his feet are pointed backwards for some reason, this is our left side, this is our right. Okay, there is our left side. He's really kicking his feet out here. Now we can do the right side. That one looks pretty good. Okay, order as I see it. Next is going to be the coat, back, cloak, whatever. And then we'll add the gun onto the back of that. This should go right on top of it afterwards. And then this little fire bit will glue right in there. And then lastly we can do the left arm, possibly the not left arm, and then the right arm. Right before the coat, and now the coat's on. Cloak, whatever. A lot easier to see it from the front. Anyways, let me fight my camera just a little bit more. Now we can go ahead and do the gun right there. Fits in real nice and snug. Alright, the scarf, whatever this is, it's going to go right on top. Okay, look at all that. Pretty good. Alright, our flame bit is going to fill up this entire space, and the flame is going to be shooting back. This is our side with the connection points, so it really is just going to kind of fit right in there. Took a little bit of fiddling, but the flame on his neck is all good. So let's go ahead and do our left arm, the one holding the cowboy hat. I'm going to set right in there. Okay. And there's the angle. Just got to push on the elbow to get it sort of slide into the correct space. All right. Right arm right here. And then we're done. Okay. This one's a little wiggly. There is a very obvious tooth and hole in there. Use that as your guide and just be comfortable with where it sits when it settles. Alright, Alt Pale Raider done. Base him. The Alt Pale Raider is done. Relatively easy model to put together. Hardest part was the flame on the head and the right arm holding the flame. And that's just because they had a little bit of wiggle to them and not too confident of a connection. But if you just look at the connection points, you should be able to figure it out. Yeah, let's look at everything. Our series of alts today are done. We've got Ulric Volkov, Alt Performer, Miss Feasance, Alt Draugr, the Eggapult, and a Daredeviled egg, blah, and the Alt Pale Raider. So pain points for this were getting Miss Feasance based. The order on that was fairly important, and of course I have issues with doing pewter. I'm not great at it. I'm sorry again. And fire on the Alt Pale Raider's head. The watch chain was a little precarious on Ulric as well. So, a decent amount of pain points, but I think Miss Feasance was the hardest one? Yeah, Miss Feasance. Okay. I have been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux. Have a good night.